I know what you're probably thinking as you digest this whole story. How the hell does something so simple work, Mel? I mean, come on, for real? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, let me get you into action, okay? Because when you try this thing, you're going to experience the change yourself. One of the reasons why this is so powerful is because your brain has one job, and that is to keep you alive, which means your brain will resist any kind of new change you want to make. And the thing I'm going to have you do is going to make you feel this resistance. And it's important for you to realize that this is part of your wiring. You're never going to not have to push yourself to do things when you don't feel like it. Like, this is just a fact of life. In fact, one of the hardest things for us all to do is to start something new. And there's a scientific reason why. The reason why is because pushing yourself to do something, whether it's pushing yourself to get to the gym, or pushing yourself to change a habit, or pushing yourself to stay sober, or pushing yourself to speak up more, or pushing yourself to express your boundaries, right? Or make the cold calls that are going to make you more money. All of that requires you to go from doing one thing, like scrolling on your phone or sitting on the couch, to doing something different. You have to summon something called activation energy. You have to activate the movement inside of you. One of the coolest things about why the 5-second rule works is the counting itself is an action. So it's almost like the little Trojan horse. So you're sitting there on the couch. You know you need to go for a run, but it's raining and it's cold and you don't feel like it. You blew it off this morning. You've already made yourself wrong. It's now 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You can think of a million things that you would rather do than going for a run. You now know the secret. The secret is motivation is garbage. No one's coming to push your ass off that couch. This is up to you. The second you're sitting there marinating in your excuses and your sad sack, whatever, feeling low energy. I get it. I'm there every day at 3 o'clock, right there with you, not feeling like it. The second you start counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you've made the decision to get off that couch and go exercise, even though you don't feel like it. The second you hit 1, get up off the couch. Start walking toward your closet. Change into your running shoes, change into your tights, whatever. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, walk out the door. That is how you summon the activation energy to start. And starting's the hardest part, right? So that's why this works. In addition to the physiology, in addition to the brain science, in addition to everything else, from a real common sense point of view, you are starting with the counting. And so I want to leave you in motion. I don't want you to just learn about this thing, because it doesn't work if you think about it. You got to use the tool. And once you use it, you're going to be able to teach it to anybody in your life that's struggling because they're waiting to feel motivated. You can give it to anybody once you try it. And so what's the best way to get you moving? I want you to do a 5-day wake-up challenge with me, okay? I know you're already groaning. I can literally hear it through my earphones over there. I don't want to wake up. Good, okay? And for those of you that can just spring out of bed, first of all, you're a weirdo. And the way that we're going to make this work for you is set your alarm if you're the kind of person that just, I just naturally wake up. I just spring out of bed. You're going to set your alarm 30 minutes earlier, because I want to manufacture the resistance that you are going to push through with the 5-second rule. For the rest of us who just hate getting out of bed, here's what you're going to do. Tonight, set your alarm, okay? Tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off, you're immediately going to feel yourself thinking about getting out of bed. You're immediately going to want to stay in bed. We all do. I mean, who wants to get out of bed? It's cozy, it's warm, it's yummy in there, you know, especially if you're sleeping with your loved one or your fur babies, okay? I get it. That is me every single morning. When that alarm goes off, You're going to notice this moment of hesitation because you're not going to want to use the 5-second rule. Good. That's that resistance. That's the fact that activation energy is now required. That's your brain going, but I don't want to change. And then you're going to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, throw those sheets off, stand up. You're going to hate this. Start walking towards the bathroom. By the time you get to the bathroom, you're good. So that's what you're going to do for 5 mornings in a row. Alarm goes off. Count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The second you hit 1, the sheets are off, and you stand up and start walking toward the bathroom. You're going to hate it. You're not going to feel like doing it. If you can push through the resistance that you feel every morning about getting up when the alarm rings, you can push through the resistance everywhere in your life. You are building a muscle of courage, of confidence, of action. You are building the skill of being able to take action when you don't feel like it. And that skill will pay you dividends for the rest of your life. Now, I'd like to support you in this Wake Up Challenge. And let me support you. And here's how you can let me support you. Go to melrobbins.com/wakeup. WAKEUP. One word. Wake up. I don't think it's one word in real life, or maybe it is, but on the website, it's melrobbins.com/wakeup. If you, the instructions for the Wake Up Challenge will be there in case you want to share them with somebody else. And more importantly, if you share your email with me, don't worry, I'm not going to put you in some I'm not going to sell your name to anybody. I just want to support you. I will send you a really fun, encouraging email every single day that you're in this challenge for 5 days, because I really want you to try this. And I want you to try this because, the 5-second rule, I'm so passionate about it, not because of my experience. I'm passionate about it because of the experience of millions of people around the world who have used the 5-second rule first to get out of bed and then to go on to make amazing, courageous, incredible changes in their life. And the same is going to be true for you. But it's only true if you're willing to push yourself. And here's the interesting thing about this challenge. Notice you don't feel like doing the Wake Up Challenge. What, are you waiting to feel motivated to do it? I mean, isn't that the whole point of what we've been talking about? In order to get what you want, you got to push yourself to act before you're ready, before you feel like it. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? That you try it for 5 days and then you go back to hitting the snooze button? I think something incredible will happen when you place a bet on yourself, when you allow me to support you by sending you these emails. I believe that if you were to practice pushing through the resistance 5 mornings in a row, and it sounds simple, it is not easy. I think you would be surprised by how good you feel about yourself and the ripple effect that it creates in your life. That's what I believe is going to happen, and I can't wait to support you in it. You are one decision away from a different life, a better life. And yes, it's not going to change overnight. It changes through those decisions that you're making that add up over time. I hope you find the courage to make the decision that's going to change your life today. I'm asking you to 54321, sign up for that Wake Up Challenge. melrobbins.com/wakeup, and let me support you. When you start making courageous decisions, when you start pushing yourself forward, when you start going for bigger things, when you stop thinking and you start doing, are you going to fail? Probably. Will you mess up? I sure do. That's okay. I want you to just keep waking up every single morning, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and show up for yourself again. Because it's what you do after you fail. It's what you do in those moments when you don't feel like it. It's those moments when you push yourself that matters most. Do not waste another day of your life waiting, wishing, or hoping motivation comes. all the things you desire are right in front of you. They're waiting for you to push through all of that resistance and self-doubt and walk toward what you want. No matter how old you are or what's happened in your life, you can achieve the life you want. I'm sorry, you don't have to believe it. I've got enough confidence in this fact to believe for you until you catch up. I have way too much evidence, having seen the lives of millions of people change through these small decisions, to know that yes, you can change your life too. You have dreams to fulfill. You've got a world to change. You've got a life to live. So I want you to get your butt out there and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go do it. I will see you in the Wake Up Challenge. I will see you in the next episode. And I am so excited to be kicking off this whole new chapter of my life with you. Thank you for being here. And more importantly, thank you for trying this, because thinking about this tool is not going to change your life. Motivation is garbage. No one's coming, but you got everything inside you that you need. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go do it. Hey. All right. So today's my 52nd birthday. And normally on my birthday, I wake up excited because I feel like I've just been handed a clean slate and the opportunity to create a brand new year. And I spend the day reflecting on the last couple of years, and I spend the day brainstorming about what I want to create this year. And this year is not a normal year. I did not wake up feeling excited. I woke up feeling lost. Because as I thought back over the last few years, it's been an incredible adventure, but I've experienced a tremendous amount of change in my professional and personal life that has just knocked me on my knees. From losing my daytime talk show, to having my book contract rescinded, to having the speaking business basically implode until at least another year from now, to not being able to be with you face to face, to not being able to work with my team face to face. I just got rocked. And then on top of it, our son wanted to go to high school in Vermont. And so we are in the process of moving from the home that we've been in for over 20 years and raised our kids up to a very small town in southern Vermont where I know very few people and I feel very disconnected. And the result of all this is I feel stuck in between two lives. My old life, which has ended, and a new life that I have yet to create for myself. And when I look ahead to the future, I feel overwhelmed, I feel lost, I feel disconnected. In some ways, I feel like I don't even know who I am because I feel so disconnected from the things that make me feel alive and happy. Oh my God. I was really lost. I mean, just hearing 52-year-old me sound like that, so sad, it just puts a pit in my stomach. Oh my God. And look, I can kind of laugh about it now because I'm on the other side of this thing. But when you're in it, it can be overwhelming. If I could go back in time and talk to the 52-year-old me, here's what I would do. I would say, first of all, that's a lot. You should have a good cry. Then I would give Mel a big, huge hug. Because in moments like that, we need reassurance. But then comes a tough love. I'd be like, look, Mel, you got to remember who you are. You can face this. And then I would drop this quote on her. Hey, woman, if you want to fly, you got to give up the shit that weighs you down. Toni Morrison said that, and boy, ain't that the truth. You got to give up the shit that weighs you down. And a lot of times, at least with me, what's weighing me down, it's my own attitude. And I know you can relate to that. I just hate that saying. It is what it is. No, it isn't. It is what you make it to be. The fact is, there is always something you can do to make yourself feel just a little bit better. And when you do something that makes you feel a little better, no matter what's going on, that boost in your mood, that boost in your attitude, it is essential to helping you face any challenge and improve any situation. And even though in that video I felt lost, there were 3 things that I did and that I continued to do over the past 2 years and that I continue to do now, all of which is rooted in research to pick myself back up and face the mess that my life had become. And more importantly, to start doing the work to create the life I wanted. I believe that you are capable of changing. I do. I've just seen too much evidence over the course of my career. Amazing changes that people just like you and me have made. So I know you're thinking, well, this is great, Mel, but where do I begin? So step number 1, you begin by making a wish. Just like that moment on your birthday when you close your eyes and wish for something to come true in this next year of your life. Right now, do the same. Close your eyes and think about the next year of your life. What do you want the next year of your life to look like? Begin by making a wish. That's how I began 2 years ago. Yep, my business was upside down, kids were in shambles, my husband was struggling with depression, and I was struggling with everything. I had to create a break from that moment of pain and allow myself to see something different. At the time, I had no idea what the new chapter of my life would be or could be. Here's what I did know. I don't want to stay in this one. And that's all you need to know. All you need to know is you don't want to stay in the place that you're in right now. That right there is a wish for something better. If you know what you don't want, it's very easy to change. As soon as you start removing or letting go of things that aren't working, you'll see all new possibilities. So let's go back to that video that I made on my 52nd birthday, because once I laid it all out there, I instinctually laid out the 3 steps I was going to take. I made a wish. I identified some things that I could do that would make me feel a little better. And I also changed my attitude. And if I can do it, so can you. So let's go back to the rest of that video from my 52nd birthday. And you're about to hear 52-year-old Mel wipe away the tears and start taking action. Here are the steps I'm going to take. Number 1, self-awareness is critical. So recognizing that you feel lost or disconnected or suspended between your old life and your new life, overwhelmed, whatever you feel, it's so important to name it. Because when you name it, you bring it out of the feeling in your body and out into the world, and then you can do things to tame that feeling. Number 2, the most important thing that you should do is move your body, because all this negative emotion is trapped in your body right now, and it's only through exercise and motion that you'll move it out of your body and you'll change your emotional state. So I am going to go put on an exercise tape and work up a sweat. Will that solve all my problems? No, but it will put me in a better emotional state so that I can think more clearly and more optimistically and start to see solutions. Number 3, the best advice about happiness is happy people do things that make them happy. And so after you move your body and you change your emotional state, do one thing that makes you happy. And for me, I'm going to go out and buy myself some beautiful flowers. I've been doing a lot of writing this morning, just dumping all my thoughts onto paper. And I think journaling out your thoughts is a really important thing to do when you feel stuck or overwhelmed or suspended. And then finally, continue to remind yourself that this is temporary. This is temporary. This moment is temporary. These feelings are temporary. This feeling of stuckness and overwhelm is temporary. Those sneezes are temporary. And I think the biggest thing about that mantra, that this is temporary, is so is your life. And maybe that's why birthdays are overwhelming, because they always make you think about the timeline of your life. And so after you become self-aware and you move your body, which moves your emotions, and you do something simple that makes you happy, and you dump all your thoughts on a piece of paper, remind yourself that this is temporary and force yourself to start dreaming again. Because when you give up on your dreams, you give up on yourself. And I think that's one of the reasons why I woke up feeling lost today. When I look ahead, I don't see anything I'm looking forward to because I haven't created something new to look forward to. And that's the secret. How you're feeling right now is a function of what you see in the future. And if you see overwhelm and a blank page and nothingness, that's how you're going to feel right now. And so I want you to dream big. I want you to put something on that paper that's out in that future, that calls to you, that gives you something to look forward to go for. That's how you will pull yourself out of it. And that's how I'm going to pull myself out of this too. So that's my birthday message. Not really inspiring. It's authentic and it's real because this is where I am right now. And I also know that despite how low I feel, I have a choice. I have a choice about what I do about it. I have a choice about who I'm going to be in the face of it. And I have a choice about what comes next. So by God, I'm going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, push myself to create a future that really empowers me. And I want you to do the same too. If you could do anything for me for my birthday, it would be for you to dream really big today. That would mean everything to me. I love you.
Way to go, 52-year-old me. Mel, if you could only see where you end up 2 years later, you'd be so proud of yourself, woman. And you know what? When you follow these same 3 simple steps, you're going to be proud of yourself too. And I want to make sure you're not just listening along or watching this podcast episode on YouTube. I want to make sure you're able to apply these 3 takeaways and what you're learning in this episode to your own life right now. So let's recap what you've learned so far. You've learned about the fresh start effect and how temporal landmarks can trigger a whole new chapter in your life and unlock the intrinsic motivation that's inside you that's going to help you take action. Let's create your fresh start right now. Step 1. You already heard this. Make a wish. Just ask yourself one powerful question. What do I want the next year of my life to look like? Number 2, no matter how you feel, start taking the actions that align with what you want in your life. Stop making the mistake of waiting to feel happy or motivated before you take action. The secret, it's taking action first, because if you can get moving, you can keep moving. And research shows that just a little boost in your mood impacts your productivity for the rest of the day. It impacts your focus. It gives you a little uptick in energy. Taking actions that align with the bigger vision and the future you, it taps into this huge body of research called behavioral activation therapy. Now, you're going to learn a tremendous amount about this therapy modality in future episodes of the Mel Robbins podcast, but here's how I'd summarize it for you. Act like the person you want to become in the future, no matter how you feel in the present moment. Look, I know it sounds simple. Act like the future you. But this is grounded in decades of research, and it works. This is how I've made every single change in my life. Once I figure out what I want to do or the kind of person I want to become, I figure out someone else in the world that's doing it, and I just reverse engineer it. And that's how you create a brick path that leads from where you are right now to where that wish of yours wants to take you. And every morning, wake up, take one action that aligns with what you want or the person that you want to become. And you can consider that action, it represents one brick. And if you keep doing that day by day, brick by brick, action by action, you're going to look up a year from now and you'll realize, oh my God, I just paved a brick path leading to my dreams. What the heck? Mel was right. And step number 3, in making powerful change in your life, find the proof that you can do it. It's all around you. You just need to look for it. Find anyone that has the life that you want or that has made the change that you want to make. The relationship, the career, the body, the family, the friend group. Anytime you see someone who has already made the change you want to make in your life, tell yourself, there's proof. It exists. Use people as evidence that, yes, you can have what you wish for too, if you're willing to work for it. See people as a light on the path to your future self. For years, that was not me. I was the opposite. I did not see other people as lights on my path. I saw people as robbing me of the lights that I wanted. I had this really stingy, jealous, and insecure attitude. If a friend of mine was renovating their kitchen, I would smile, that tight smile that people have when they're faking a smile. And I'd go, oh, it's so pretty. I love the white cabinets. But inside, I was seething with jealousy. And the reason why is because I believed that somebody else's happiness or success somehow was robbing me of mine. It's the opposite. Their beautiful kitchen means if I can work for it, I can have one too. Their amazing relationships means I can create it too. Their success or the business they've built means it's possible for you too. This alone, if you just do this third step, this one mindset flip, it is a complete game changer. Here's how you do it. There is unlimited success, happiness, and fulfillment in the world. You're not in competition with anyone. The only one that can rob you of the success, happiness, and fulfillment that you deserve is you and your excuses and fears and sitting around waiting to feel motivated. We're going to stop that today. Correct? Good. I'm glad you're listening because we're not doing that anymore. You're not going to wait 6 years to get started. You are going to start taking actions that align with what you want now. And when you see other people as evidence of what's possible for you, as you start seeing them not as extinguishing your light, but lighting the path that you're now walking on, holy cow, talk about throwing gasoline on that internal fire of yours. And by the way, don't you ever forget, you are a light on the path for someone else, and you don't even realize it. So think about that for a second. You are just a step or two ahead of someone else. I mean, if you've grieved the loss of a loved one, if you've changed your career, if you've survived heartache, if you've sold a family home, if you've reinvented some aspect of your life, if you've lost weight, if you're able to live with depression, if you were the first in your family to graduate from college, your life experience proves to someone else that it's possible for them too. So you better make sure that as you start chipping away at your own wishes and goals, that you hold that light up a little bit higher for everybody that's behind you. Now, these steps sound super simple. So I'm going to go through them one more time because I want to make sure you get how powerful they are. So let's go back to 52-year-old Mel and let me explain how each one of these steps worked for me back when I was sad and lost 2 years ago. So step number 1, you make a wish. You got to consider that question. What do I want my life to look like? Now, here's the truth. I couldn't answer that question 2 years ago. When I was 52, sitting there crying in the bunk room, I had no idea. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't even know how to fix all my problems. And that's okay. You don't have to know the answers because those will come. But I did know I didn't want to stay feeling sad. And that's all I needed to start the change. Because step 2 is, once you know one small thing, I don't want to feel so sad. I don't want to be lost on my birthday. Just take actions that align with that thing that you want. I wanted to be happier. So I just focused on simple things I could do in that day to make me feel a little better. I get it. This isn't rocket science, but it works. But somehow, when you start to apply this stuff, it does feel like rocket science because it does launch you somewhere else. So that day, I exercised. I bought myself flowers. I watched some stand-up comedy specials on TV so I would laugh a little. I just forced myself to do those things, to start walking toward what I wanted, which was just to feel a little happier. And look, this stuff doesn't work overnight. It works over time. And so every day, I just woke up and I kept making myself do the things that made me feel a little better, even though I didn't feel like it. Simple things, exercising, journaling. And I kept on contemplating that question, what do I want my life to look like? And over time, day after day, brick after brick, as I added in positive forward action, aligned with feeling a little happier, and as I started to let go of things that were bringing me tension or sadness or friction, the answers started to emerge. I didn't want to travel so much for work. I didn't want to miss out on my son's high school the way I missed out on our daughter's high school experience. I wanted to get reconnected at a really deep level with my husband. I wanted to have time to see friends again and do things in the community. I didn't want to feel so damn busy and burnt out. And I didn't want to fall asleep with a to-do list on my mind and wake up every morning panic-stricken because of how much I had to get done. I wanted to simplify my life and get serious about being happier and more content in it. And as you ask yourself the question, what do you want your life to look like? Be patient. As I got clearer about what I wanted, and then I aligned my actions with that new vision, I started acting like the person I wanted to become. Simplifying means saying no. It means asking for help. And I chipped away day by day, and I started getting my mental health in order, slowed down, and I created an entirely different relationship with my husband by jumping into therapy. I also started being more present with my kids. And through all these small changes, I realized something bigger. It was time to sell the house that we had raised our kids in for 26 years outside of Boston, Massachusetts, and create a simpler life in southern Vermont. And as I started to say no and put what mattered to me first, I all of a sudden had more time to do what I really wanted, which is to launch this podcast, because I wanted to forge a deeper connection with you. Brick by brick, I laid a path with my actions, and now here I am. And if I can do it, you can do it. And that's why step number 3 is critical. Look for lights on the path. I looked for other people who had simpler business models, who had relationships, and who were doing the fun things that I wanted to do. And I just let them light the way toward the future I wanted. I kept telling myself, if they can do it, I can do it. And if you don't have anyone in your life like that, someone that lights the way for you, let me be that person. Tell yourself, if Mel Robbins can do it, then I can do it, because it's true. I'm living proof that if I can do it, you can do it. Big change starts with small wishes, like, I want to feel happier. And tiny actions lead to massive transformation over time. Psychologically speaking, those little daily moves forward that I was making, trying to just be a little bit happier, moving toward the person I really wanted to become, it changes what you believe about yourself. Because doing the small things every single day, especially when you don't feel like it, it proves that you do have a choice about what you do and how you feel. And eventually, as you do the small things that make you feel better and better and better, you will feel better and better and better. And as you see yourself taking these little actions, you start seeing yourself taking control. And the momentum, the pride, and the confidence builds inside you. That's what happened to me. And I know the same will be true for you. And I have proof that this works. So yesterday, check this out. I got an email from a woman named Danielle. And guess what she was writing me about? She was writing to tell me about a year ago, she stumbled upon, guess what video? Yeah, you guessed it. The one I made on my 52nd birthday. I mean, come on, what are the odds? I was about to start taping an episode about the same video, and now suddenly I'm getting an email from a stranger telling me, oh, by the way, Mel, I saw that video on your 52nd birthday and I followed the steps in it, and now my life has changed. What are the odds? Those are magical. And I always pay attention to that kind of stuff. So I reached out to her. I talked to her on the phone. And now I want you to listen to her read the email she sent to me yesterday. I just love this kind of stuff because it all connects. And before I play it, I want to warn you that this may be triggering for you to hear. Because when Danielle stumbled upon that 52nd birthday video of mine, she was in a way worse place than I was up in that bunk room. She was thinking of ending her life.
Your birthday saved my life. The video you made on your 52nd birthday was the first Mel video I had ever seen. And it was the last day of my life, or it would have been. A couple years previously, I had made a pact with one of my best friends that if either one of us were thinking about suicide, we would call one another. And we would talk as long as we needed. And at the end of the talk I had with him the night before, he made me promise him that I would give my life 24 more hours because a day can change everything, is what he said. And the next day, late afternoon, waiting for night to come, YouTube said I should watch your video. And I promised my friend 24 hours more, which I spent largely watching your videos. And I'm still here. And it sounds a little bit even silly, but I remember at one point in the video when she just, she got to the point where she had laid it all out there, how she feels and what's going on, that she said, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy myself some flowers. And I was like, okay, I get that. Like, happiness isn't like a goal that like once you've completed all these things in your life that are wrong with it, then you're allowed to be happy. It's something that you actually have to try to do every day. And you can't just do this one little thing and that can make today better than it was.
I mean, come on now. Don't you just love Danielle? And look, over the past year, Danielle has been slowly chipping away at creating a better life, just like I have for these past 2 years, and just like you're going to do now that you've listened to this episode. See, doing the little things every single day that align with where you're going and who you want to become, that's the secret. It works. The bottom line is you have the power to change your life, period. You have to act like the person you want to become before you feel like that person. And if I can do it, you can do it. Plain and simple. There are things that are locked in your heart and your mind and soul that are calling to you. Stop denying it. There are changes that you want to make. Stop ignoring those changes. The whole point of this episode is to get you to not only believe that change is possible for you, but to start taking the steps to make the change a reality. I want you to claim what you want by the end of this episode. I want you to close your eyes and envision something amazing in this next year of your life, because yes, you can change. And yes, you can take the actions that will make that change a reality. I mean, is it going to happen overnight? Of course not, but it'll change over time. And if you can make today just a little better, guess what? You can make tomorrow a little better. And if you can have a better day, then you can have a better week. And if you can have a better week, you can have a better month. And those months lead ultimately down the path to the life that you envision for yourself. You deserve to be happy. And I believe that you're listening to this episode right now with Mel Robbins because you are meant to. I mean, think you could have picked a million other episodes, but you are on this one right now with me. Why? Because you're supposed to hear this at this exact moment in your life. You needed the reminder that there is something bigger that is meant for you. You got so much amazing stuff to do with this next year of your life. You got dreams to fulfill. You got lives to change. Stop focusing your energy on the stupid crap that weighs you down. It does not matter. Your past does not matter. The things that you're worried about, it doesn't matter. I mean, who cares if they didn't read your text? Who cares if you didn't get that job you applied for? Do you know how many jobs there are out there? It's time to see the bigger picture. It's time to focus on what you want. I know, I get it. It sucks when you get the courage to ask somebody out and they say no, or you work for months trying to close a massive sale and it goes to somebody else. And it's an awful feeling to wake up and have the depression be overwhelming. And you're not going to feel like kicking ass today. You're going to feel like licking your wounds. I got it. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Have a good cry, give yourself a hug, and then dig deep and let Mel Robbins remind you of who you are. There is power inside of you to face this and to make it better. And you know it. In those moments when you feel like you just got punched in the gut, you have power within you. You have the ability to create this fresh start, to close your eyes, to envision what you want instead of surviving through what you have. On those mornings when you wake up with the weight of the world on your shoulders, wake up and get your ass out of bed. Get dressed, get yourself out the door, and do the things that make you feel slightly better. Start acting like the person you want to become instead of the person you are today. Start taking actions that align with what you want in your life. It's only when you start to act before you feel ready that this turns around. I get it. You should have landed the funding. You did deserve the job. It does blow when you don't get into your dream school and your best friend does. But you know what? That's not going to stop you from getting what you want, because you are going to pick yourself back up. You know that this is going to pass. You know that through your actions and your attitude, you can change where you're at. And you know that you can make yourself feel a little bit better no matter what you're facing. And you can't tell me otherwise. Every single day when you wake up, the clock resets, the past expires, and the future, it is yours to create. There is an open road. There is a blank page. There is a wish that you need to turn into a reality. Today is a gift, and you get to decide what you're going to do with that gift. Is it one day or day one? You decide. You decide with the actions you take today. You can change. And today is the day to prove it to yourself.
One of the best places to start is by adding a simple habit to your morning routine or your evening routine, which is to write down 5 things that you want. They can be small, they can be big, anything. So let me see if I can get the 3 steps to developing synchronicity as a superpower in your life. Number 1, you have to supercharge your attention about what you want. And if you don't know what you want, start writing 5 dreams down every damn day. And if you want help with that, go to melrobbins.com/dreambig. We've got a sheet that thousands of you have already downloaded that'll walk you through how to do this. Make this a practice, because this all begins with what's inside your mind, inside your heart. And so you got to get serious about putting your attention on what you want instead of bitching about the things that you don't have or the way that things are. So superpowering your attention is step number 1 for developing synchronicity in your life, correct?
Yep.
Okay, great. So step number 2, Professor Myers, if I'm getting this, is opening up your heart to those moments where now that you have supercharged your attention and said, I want that damn Gucci handbag. I don't care that it's sold out. I don't care that this, or I want friends. I need more friends in my life. I'm lonely. So you supercharge your attention to what you want. And then you got to be open to in the beginning, coincidences that you could easily be like, that's the way that my phone listens to me and it's serving up ads, or, oh, that person's just reaching out because they want something. You got to get rid of your negative filter on what's happening around you, and you got to wake the hell up and realize that all around you, Dr. Myers is here to profess people. He has researched this. All around you are magical connections, and it's connected to what you want inside you. And the second
and the emotion that comes with it, you feel.
Yes.
You feel it.
Yes. Yeah. And so you got to start to get positive and intentional about calling out these signs that life is trying to help you, that things are going in the right direction. You got to grab one little thing and use it as like a little toehold to hold on to. And then when you call out that sign, you got to walk toward it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You know, I never realized that this is how I live my life. Like, I think what I've learned in this conversation is that synchronicity is something that I've been tapping into for a very long time. And there are periods in my life where I wasn't tapping into it and I was completely out of alignment and it was full of friction and self-destruction. And then there have been periods where I've allowed myself to say what I want, or at least say what wasn't working. And I allowed myself to start to believe in the signs that would be presented. And having done a tremendous amount of research about the reticular activity system and the filter in our brains and how you can change your mind and how your mind can help you, I really hope that as you're listening to this conversation, yes, you, I'm talking to you, that you will open your heart and your mind to this, because it's very real. I mean, they wouldn't be giving the Nobel Prize to somebody doing quantum entanglement if two particles a light year away could not impact one another. And I want you to realize the power of your thoughts, and you to realize that the world is trying to help you, that you are meant to live in alignment, that synchronicity is not only possible, it's something that you're wired to do. And you can start today. And I also realized something else, Dr. Myers, and it's this. I wrote about this thing that I've done for years that I didn't realize is an example of training yourself for synchronicity. And the assignment's very simple. Today, when you're done listening to this podcast, I want you to look around you, and I want you to find the symbol of a heart. And I want you to find it in nature, just naturally occurring somewhere. It could be the shape of a cloud. It could be on the top of your coffee. Last night, I noticed somebody tagged me online, and she was riding Peloton. And as she's riding Peloton, she looked up, and in front of her, beyond the screen, was a bookcase. And up on the bookcase was a vase. And somehow coming through the window, the sunlight had made the perfect shape of a heart on that vase. And she called it out. And so when you look around today, whether it's a leaf or a spot, my dog has, I realized after we got our puppy, he has a spot on his nose that is a heart. And I'm like, if that's not synchronicity, this is the dog that's meant for me. And when you see the heart, I want you to just for a second, open your mind and your heart to this kind of cheesy notion that will change your life. And tell yourself that that heart was placed there for you to find. Because when you allow yourself to kind of experience life as a gigantic scavenger hunt, that every day there are clues all around you, clues that tell you you're on the right path or the wrong path, clues that are there to help you feel more confident and full of faith that you're heading in the right direction, that things are going to get better, that you're meant for more. When you can turn your life into a giant scavenger hunt, it is the most incredible thing in the world.
And looking for hearts or seeing angel numbers or any other sign that might make you feel a little empowered, this isn't some cheesy thing to do. Not only is there neuroscience around how you're reprogramming the filter in your brain when you intentionally fire up your awareness and you look for signs, but I think something really, really important is happening too. Seeing signs, looking for meaning and synchronicities, it provides guardrails. And these guardrails, they keep you going. They make you feel less alone. And right now, you may feel really alone, but I want you to know you're not. You can use this heart exercise as a way to start to see synchronicity. We're dealing with an epidemic of loneliness, and it's impacting everybody. So whether you're flying high right now and you need to look for signs and synchronicities in order to land the biggest deal of your life, or you need to look for signs and synchronicities just to make it through another day, this can help. The truth is, synchronicity, signs, it can help you believe again. In fact, as we were just wrapping up the recording of this episode, an email came in, I kid you not, at 4:14. And I just happened to glance at it as we were literally about to go, okay, episode's done on synchronicities. And I said, everybody, wait a minute. Eliza, who's a listener to this podcast, wrote in to the website for the form for the podcast. And here's what it said. I don't want anything, Mel. I just want you to know that I was literally on the verge of ending my life. And then I met you, my new friend.
You're the one human on the planet right now who is able to keep me on this earth, and you don't even know me. Thank you. Also, I finally found one heart. I've been looking for days. It's a piece of coral, and I love you for telling me to look for hearts. Again, I don't want anything, just to say thank you for saving my life. This email to me was synchronicity. It came in at exactly the right time. It has extraordinary meaning for me because something felt missing from the episode. And what was missing was this synchronicity, something profound to show you that these simple things that I'm telling you work actually do. That sometimes all you need is to see a piece of coral in the shape of a heart and tell yourself that it was put there for you to remind you that yes, you are loved. And yes, you have a life that is worth living. And yes, you have the strength and the courage to get through whatever it is that you're facing. And that the synchronicities and the signs are all around you, that you have a big and beautiful life that is waiting for you. Whew! So, Eliza, thank you. And keep looking for hearts, because now that you have found one piece of coral, that reticular activating system in your brain, that filter that helps you spot synchronicities, guess what? You just programmed it today. And now it's going to help you see even more.
Today, we've got brand new research, everybody.
Yes.
And we are going to introduce you to very simple behavior changes that you can institute immediately that will improve your life.
Yeah.
All grounded by research.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them quite shockingly weird and surprising.
Yes. And these are all brand new, just released, amazing, legit studies. So we're super excited to share them.
Okay. What is the first change we need to make?
Definitely. So there was recently a huge brand new study from researchers at the University of Texas at Austin and UChicago all about the power of random acts of kindness. And this study is called A Little Good Goes an Unexpectedly Long Way, Underestimating the Positive Impact of Kindness on Recipients.
Okay, but we all know that acts of kindness are things that make us feel good. But why is this brand new research something we have to pay attention to? So like in the year ahead, acts of kindness, people, all day long. How come we have to pay attention to this?
Definitely. So what the researchers really looked into is why do we not do random acts of kindness? Because what they found is they're actually pretty uncommon. We think that, oh, we just do this. We all know what to do. We don't. Most people do not do random acts of kindness. And it's because we actually don't think it's going to matter to other people.
Oh.
Yeah. And what the researchers found is it does. No matter how tiny, a random act of kindness makes a massive difference for someone else, and you are happier as a result of doing it.
So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that we should be doing this. But what you're saying is that we don't do this. And this is where the insight comes in.
Yes.
Is that we assume it's not going to matter.
Exactly.
And a random act of kindness, it's like the littlest thing.
Yeah.
Smiling at somebody,
Mm-hmm.
putting your arm around somebody, waving
Yeah.
somebody into traffic.
Yeah.
Even tipping
Yes.
somebody that's
Huge
making your
one.
coffee and looking at them and saying thank you.
Mm-hmm.
These are all small things that make a difference. And we think it doesn't make a difference. And so I think that's where the learning is, at least for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that you're not doing it not because you don't think it's an important thing to do. You're not doing it because you don't think it matters.
Yes, exactly. And the New York Times picked up this brand new study, ran a huge article on it, and there were thousands of comments of people sharing their stories of random acts of kindness. And it's a reminder that these do matter to people.
And here's the interesting twist about this story, and it's why Tracy was so excited to talk about this particular piece of research. the stories were not from people who were like, oh, I started a pay it forward chain.
No.
Which, by the way, you know how everybody starts doing the pay it forward chains typically around the holidays where you're going to buy the coffee for the person behind you? I saw this interesting post by somebody who used to be a barista who says that is a complete nightmare for operations because it gets confusing whose drink is whose and what got paid for, and people don't know how to grab the drink. And that if you want to do something nice in a super busy coffee shop, look at the person making the coffee. Tell them thank you and how much you appreciate them, and give that minimum wage person a tip that is the cost of a cup of coffee that you would have bought for the stranger behind you, which I thought was really interesting. But this piece of research, which really impacted me, is all of the comments were not about people bragging about their acts of kindness. It was people sharing stories about how an act of kindness from a stranger or a teacher or somebody in their life changed the trajectory of their life.
Their entire life. Yeah.
Why don't you read that one comment that had us all just get goosebumps?
Yeah, definitely. So this is a comment that was within the article. The comment said, as a child, I lived in absolute poverty with an abusive parent. I had a music teacher who one day stopped me while walking down the hall and simply said, "Are you okay?" I broke down. He took me to his office, fed me his lunch, and allowed me the space to pull myself together. He told me, "You're in a bad spot, but it doesn't have to be your life." That small gesture gave me the hope to believe in myself and allowed me to start considering a future where the cycle of abuse and poverty don't exist. 30 years later, he was right, and the cycles have been broken. That small moment changed my life, it changed my partner's life, and it changed my children's lives.
I want you to take a minute, and I want you to think about a moment, an act of kindness that somebody else did for you that was meaningful. And when you think about it from being on the recipient's end, from you being the one, even if it's just as simple as like you were running super late for something and traffic was monstrous and a stranger waved you in with a smile, how that makes your energy shift. That's what I want you to think about when it comes to this brand new research. Please, act of kindness, all of us, start incorporating it into our day-to-day lives. All right, what's next?
Okay, great. So this second piece of research is very exciting as we think about the new year is coming. A lot of us want new fitness routines, but it always seems to be easier to talk about creating that new routine than actually implementing it.
Okay.
Especially when you're busy, like you and I both are. This is a brand new study that is called Less Gym Time, Same Results.
I'm down. Less gym time, same results. Let's go, people.
Brand
what do we do?
new big study from researchers at Edith Cowan University in Australia, along with whole research teams in Japan and Brazil. Listen to this. All you need to do to build your strength is do what's called the eccentric muscle contraction, aka the second half of any exercise.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about.
Imagine that you were standing up to sit down in your chair or to squat.
Okay.
It's simply the motion of the sitting down part, not the standing up.
Okay, so let me see if I'm getting this straight. So are you basically saying that so many of us are losing the benefit of certain things we do all day long? Like for me, plopping into a chair.
Yes.
I let gravity do the work. I do not consider sitting in a chair exercise. Are you telling me that this study says that I can consciously sit in a chair differently and I will be exercising?
Yes. It says that one muscle contraction in this downward movement for just 3 seconds a day can increase muscle strength if you do it each day.
What? Well, okay, so you're not even necessarily talking about how, like, if you're doing bicep curls, you know how people are like, you got to slow down and not just flump the weight down?
And that is true. And that in the research, they did use bicep curls to say people who just did the downward and then put their weights down. And then maybe they just got them back up, but it wasn't part of the motion.
Yep.
Yes. In exercise, they're saying you can cut your routine in half by just doing the second half of each exercise, but you can apply this in your life.
Wow.
for passive exercise.
Okay, I'm down with passive exercise. I remember when my mom found this revolutionary way of exercising where you literally lay on a table and they strap your feet into things and they lift your legs for you. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not exercise, but if it works for you and it gets you there, great. But so I'm going to unpack this because there's two benefits to this. Passive exercise, everybody. What was the fancy word?
Eccentric.
Eccentric. So it's true, when I do strength training, I focus on lifting up the weight. I don't get intentional about resisting it dropping down.
And the lifting up doesn't seem to matter that much, according to the research.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Now let's do the chair thing. So I want to try this. So I'm standing up.
Okay.
And normally when I go to sit down, I just like plop down.
Yeah. You just went right into the chair
gravity
right now.
did the work.
Yeah.
And the chair took the beating.
Yes.
Okay. So now I'm going to stand up and I'm going to...
You are slowly going down.
Okay, now my shins are engaged.
Great. And now you're holding down for 1,
so I don't
2,
leak.
3.
But also, this is like an ab exercise. My butt is like an inch above the chair, and this is like a squat.
The research is saying if you can once per day for 3 seconds slowly chair sit, you have just exercised. Building your muscles.
I'm doing this.
Could be easier than a whole weight training New Year's resolution.
My life has just been changed by passive exercise research. Ladies and gentlemen, Tracy, genius. Thank you. So we've got acts of kindness, remembering how profound they are for somebody.
Yes.
Even just a smile. Oh, one act of kindness that I do all the time, whenever I see somebody that has their nails done, particularly like the tips and the cool stuff and the designs, I always compliment them. And the reason why is I know that they took the time to do it. And try this. Compliment somebody's nails. You will see somebody light up like a Christmas tree when you compliment their nails. They feel seen. They feel acknowledged. It's a simple way to do it. Okay.
What do you think of my sparkly nails?
Oh, Tracy with the gold. You are not a nail polish person either.
No, I'm not.
Well, show them to the YouTube community. It's gold, everybody.
For Christmas.
All right. Next study.
So this study, when I first read it, I was a little bit floored by it. So this this is stupid or floored? Because there's a mix.
There's
it
some
felt
research
stupid,
we find.
and I cannot believe how big of an impact and how big this study is for what it is. But I think this is a very simple thing that anyone can do for 1 second each day.
Wait, 1 second.
1 second.
Well, I think 5 seconds can change somebody.
5
You are
seconds.
taking it down, Tracy.
This one thing is going to give you an improvement in mental well-being for 8 hours. And it works in healthy people. It works in those with depression. It works in those with all different kinds of mental health challenges. Here is the study. This was a huge study in the UK at King's College London, huge reputable research university that was published in Scientific Reports.
Can I just stop you?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think of what this is.
Okay. I don't think you're going to get it right.
Orgasm?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
I can't think of anything else.
So this study took place across a 4-year span. They collected data of 20,000 assessments, and they had global participants in this study. And do you know what they found, Mel?
That would improve my life for 8 hours after just doing this for 1 second. No.
The study is called Feeling Chirpy. So in this study, what's really interesting too is you might think, okay, you're out in nature, that's the benefit. But no, they isolated. It is not about trees. It is not about plants. It is not about being by the water. It works if you listen on an app.
Really?
There is something about the sound of birds. You can go on YouTube. You can listen to a birdsong app. You could get outside. But that deeply resonates with us, even at a subconscious level, for 8 hours of improved mental well-being, up to 8 hours.
That's incredible. It reminds me, up here in Vermont, when my in-laws owned this house, there was a clock that used to hang in the kitchen. And every single hour was the photo of a different bird. Mm-hmm. And when the clock would hit the hour, the chirping of the bird would happen. And it didn't matter how many people were in the kitchen. Everybody would stop and turn toward the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so on some level, this seems like one of those studies where you're like, honestly, who the hell even
Who
got this
funded
idea to
this?
stop this? You know, like, but if they've got more than 26,000 assessments
Mm-hmm. Over
And they-
4 years.
over 4 years, there's something here. And I just wonder, because I wonder if this has to do with evolution and the fact
Wow.
that if you think about our ancestors truly navigating and migrating and following patterns of nature
Yeah.
and wind and stars and the migratory patterns of birds,
Yeah.
that I wonder if there is this connection. And, you know, I agree. I love the sound of birds, except for a crow. I don't like a crow. But if I hear a songbird chirping,
Yeah.
it does cause a lift in mood.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow. So now I'm sitting down mindfully. I'm listening for birds.
Yeah. Just to put it on YouTube after your episode of the Mel Robbins podcast.
Maybe we should just play some birds right now.
Let's play the bird sound.
Okay.
Great.
What else you got for us?
Well, now that we're so grounded after our bird sound, there is a huge, brand new, like just published study from Georgetown Medical Center, published in the JAMA Psychiatry Journal, which is a really big, prestigious journal. So this research is legit.
My dad used to get that. The journal, I think it's of American Medical Association.
Probably.
I can't believe I
So this
remembered
is
that. Okay.
legit. They compared in people who have anxiety, taking Lexapro versus doing mindfulness-based stress reduction, which often looks like a body scan or gratitude journaling.
Now, by body scan, you don't mean climbing into an MRI.
No, I mean, how is my body feeling right now?
So a lot of times in yoga, they'll use this relaxation technique in a class where you're
Yeah.
like, you know, scrunch up your feet, relax them. Scrunch your ankles, relax
Yes.
them. You know, like flex your quads, relax them. That's sort of a way to kind of body
Yes.
scan. So that's one example. What's another example they used?
Gratitude journaling.
Really?
Yes, that's a powerful example of mindfulness-based stress reduction.
Okay, so they studied Lexapro.
Yes.
And then they also studied these mindfulness techniques that bring you into your body and into the moment.
Yes, and there are a number of them, but those are just two to highlight. Is the
Yeah.
gratitude journaling, and what they found is the drop in anxiety was equal between Lexapro and just doing these deliberate mindfulness-based stress reduction practices like a gratitude journal.
Wow. I think I have a hunch for why that
Why?
might be. Well, because as somebody who has dealt with and felt anxiety
Yeah.
for almost my entire life, I mean, I have it under control now and I profoundly understand it. So
Yeah.
I'm annoyed by it, but I'm not scared by it anymore. What's interesting is that anxiety, as we know, is an alarm.
Mm-hmm.
And anxiety is signaling that something's up and you
Yeah.
need some reassurance. And anxiety also typically takes you immediately into the future
Yeah.
that something bad's about to happen. If you're directing your mind to pick up a pen and to start writing what you're grateful for, you're activating a part of your mind
Yeah.
that's different from the part of the mind that takes over when you're anxious.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a way for you to almost like shortcut
Yeah.
in your own mind
Yeah.
this skill of pulling yourself into the present moment. And if you are having a panic attack or you're anxious, you're not in the present moment.
Exactly.
And so this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely. And the research, still emphasizes that there's a need for medication and for
course.
practices, but in conjunction can have a really, really powerful effect, especially in how your brain actually changes, what areas are active.
Well, and the other thing that I've found personally and that we know based on the research is that the more that you practice these strategies, whether it's doing a body scan of your own body in the moment, whether it's gratitude journaling, whether it's certain forms of breathing,
Yeah.
whether it is redirecting your thoughts. The other exercise we talk about a lot is the 5 senses, where in a moment where you feel anxious, you say, well, what can I smell right now?
Yeah.
What do I see in front of me? And by describing those 5 senses, again, you're interrupting
that part of the brain from taking over, signaled by the alarm, and you pull yourself into the present. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, definitely.
But
It's
I
awesome.
love knowing. Why do I love knowing that researchers at Yale have confirmed that? Because a lot of this is common sense. Not
a lot
the
of it
birds.
is common sense, but I think there's something about knowing your time spent in your gratitude journal is worth it.
That it matters.
It matters.
It really does.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got for us? This is really
Great.
cool.
So we've done the act of kindness.
Yeah.
You've sat in your chair very, 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 very slowly. You have listened to your bird sound. Now we have written down what have gratitude about. This next one is super interesting, and it is about willpower. So a big study from UPenn in Michigan looked at 20,000 high schoolers as they studied for and took the SAT exam.
Okay.
What they found, taking into account socioeconomic status, all of their prior achievements throughout high school even, what matters the most for their study plan and their scores is if they didn't rely on willpower and set themselves up with strategies to better be able to study.
So you're saying if the students didn't do what I did or didn't do what I see my kids doing, which is basically you got the laptop open, you got the phone on, you got piles of books all around you, and you're just going to try to plow through it.
Yes.
If instead you get deliberate about chunking it out, putting the phone to the side, having deliberate blocks of time to study, that you're going to do better on the test?
Yeah. In
Why?
particular, the ones they mentioned was disabling your cell phone.
Okay, so turn the phone off. If you're serious about performing better,
Yes.
you got to turn the phone off when you're preparing. Okay, that's number one.
Setting up a distraction-free place to get your work done.
Setting up a distraction-free place. I'm starting to smile, Trace, because yesterday Tracy and I were going over the final draft to our newsletter that goes out twice a week. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Just go to melrobbins.com to sign up for it. And Tracy was trying to get me to focus.
Mel was doing some online shopping
That's
while writing the newsletter to you guys. 2 tabs open.
And so Tracy was so awesome. She, without skipping a beat, you didn't even look at me. You just reached your hand over and shut the laptop and then shoved it away from me. You did what the study's telling. And do you know how quickly we wrapped up the final of it?
Yeah, we focused right in and an awesome newsletter went out.
Totally.
Yeah. And then the other strategy as well, in addition to distraction-free and disabling your cell phone, is creating a schedule to study.
So take a look at the week. If you've got a big project or you got something, and schedule in blocks of time where you're going to go to that distraction-free thing and you're going to turn off your cell phone. And that if you were to do that, did they find anything about how it also took less time, or just that you were more effective, whatever time you put in?
Yes. And one thing they found that did not work was when people said that they willed themselves to study. Willpower did not lead to results because willpower fades. We can't rely on willpower. And while this is about the SAT, you could probably generalize these results for anything where high performance or studying or preparation is needed.
So are you suggesting that sitting on the couch with Netflix on and my laptop open is not a good way to research podcast episodes?
Probably, depending on how long you want it to take. If you want to study more efficiently, faster, and just perform better, put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Go into your other room.
Shut the laptop.
And also look at your calendar in the morning and say, what am I going to get done today?
Awesome.
Simple strategies lead to a huge result.
And again, like I think that these are the things that in the back of your mind, we kind of go, duh.
Yeah.
But having these validated studies, 20,000 high school students.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you do this unless you just want to shoot yourself in the foot and make life harder?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What else you got?
Great. So now we have number 6. This is a really interesting study that once you hear it, you're going to resonate with this in your own life. And it's about smell and food, recalling a memory instantly when you smell something that brings you back to an old time and place.
Okay.
So this is a study out of Lancaster University in the UK, brand new study, where they actually asked older people who at this point in their life, maybe they're not having as many exciting new experiences, for a really amazing memory of their past. And they created something for them to smell and taste that took them back to a big moment. They actually 3D printed these tastes and smells on like a little Listerine strip type thing. So crazy research.
Like the taste of your favorite ice cream treat from a vendor. Like I'm
Yes, at
thinking
your
about
wedding,
like,
the one couple, it was the food at their wedding. They were able to taste it. Or someone who had a curry tasting one, they took them back to that memory. Strawberries from a day when they were young. And instantly, people were vividly transported back to this memory. Instantly.
wow.
And the researchers say this is a very powerful implication for creating happiness hacks. If you knew that in the past you had the best vacation, the best memory, you can instantly access that deep memory by smelling that smell, having that food.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
My wheels are spinning because I'm thinking about my friend Pete Sheehan, who made me a cup of tea once.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very particular about how he made it because he said only his mother has ever been able to make tea
Yeah.
that tastes as good as this certain way.
Yeah.
And what I bet it brings him back to his childhood.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about this, because this research that you're talking about in terms of how taste and smell cues memory,
Yeah.
this is specifically applied to very positive memories.
Very positive, yes.
And it's really kind of cool when you stop and think about the fact that you can, as you said, hack happiness by bringing very positive memories. I remember a really interesting story that has always stuck with me because we know that this is true based on trauma research. That smell in particular can trigger a trauma response. And I believe it was in the book about trauma that was written, by a PhD medical doctor talking about how trauma can immediately bring you back to that just terrible thing that happened. And so the researcher or the psychiatrist was talking about how he was treating a high school student who had severe abuse. And all of a sudden, this kid had gone from being like a really great student and doing well in class to almost flunking out of this math class and being really disruptive in this math class. And it was very uncharacteristic of this kid to act this way, particularly in the math class. And so the therapist leaned in to try to figure out what the heck was going on. And what he discovered was this, that the math teacher had recently switched his cologne. And he was wearing cologne that was the same cologne that this kid's abuser had worn.
Wow.
And so just the math teacher coming up behind him and the smell of that would trigger all of the trauma, which of course made him agitated and untrusting and not able to pay attention. The therapist got the math teacher to stop wearing the cologne. Issue gone.
Wow.
And so we know based on research that this is true around trauma and negative experiences. I think it's really, really encouraging to hear that smell conjures up positive experiences. In fact, I'm thinking about the fact that my grandmother used to wear a particular perfume. My father used to wear a particular cologne. And whenever I smell it or smell traces of it, I immediately remember them.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so cool. Didn't you have a friend that did this with her wedding?
Yeah, definitely.
Intentionally? What happened?
Yeah. So I'm going to be getting married this year. And I was talking to someone who just recently had their wedding. And I asked if she had any advice for me. And she said something that I have never heard before. She said, figure out what your smell is going to be at the altar of your wedding ceremony. Because that is a smell that for the rest of your life can transport you back to that moment. She said she picked out a very specific flower, one of her favorites with her favorite smell, and did a massive arrangement right where she was going to be standing at the altar during her wedding ceremony. And she even sprayed something, a smell there, so that she said for the rest of her life, she can instantly transport into that memory. And she said to me, I highly recommend more than anything else that you do that And even not just for weddings, for any big moment of your life where you know that you're going to want to look back at this forever, create a signature scent. Know what your smell is going to be, and you will go back to that forever.
Speaking of smell, my cat Noodle just walked in.
Noodle has been giving his signature scent to all of your rugs lately.
Yes, he's been really naughty. We've got this new puppy, as you may know, and so he has got a signature scent that he sprays around. All right. I that's interesting because you think about marking rituals with a certain cake or a certain this or a champagne, but getting intentional around the type of flower or the perfume that you wear or those sorts of things, that's super cool.
Yeah, definitely. And you can apply that right now about things going forward or about any positive memory that you want to remember.
Okay, cool. What else?
Okay, great. So we're getting near the end of these new studies. This one I thought was so much fun. It's a study from Indiana University, the University of Connecticut, and Duke. And here's what it's about. It's about those mundane secrets that we hide from the closest people in our life. And that means, here's what the researchers define mundane secrets as: hiding small online purchases, foods that you don't want your partner or friends to know that you eat, or things like watching a TV show ahead of your partner when you guys are doing it together and they don't know that you're sneaking ahead.
And then you sit there and pretend that you haven't when you watch the episode.
The researchers...
I can't do that. I can sneak ahead, but when the episode comes on, I can no longer sit there and pretend that I haven't seen it. That's the part where the gig is up for me.
So the researchers found that 90% of people have recently kept one of these everyday consumer behaviors a secret from a very close person in their life, a friend or their partner. And they report, you know what, my partner probably wouldn't care if they knew I watched ahead or I snuck a piece of cake, but they keep it a secret. 90% of us have these tiny little guilty secrets.
Now, is this something we should do? Because everything that you've recommended so far is additive.
Yeah.
So, yes, I am guilty of watching a show ahead and not telling Chris, but I always confess when we're sitting there. But they also did... Go ahead.
Well, what's interesting is they actually found this is not a bad thing. It is okay to have your little guilty pleasures. You can hide little things from your partner. This is not about being dishonest. Listen to this. Tiny feelings of guilt, which don't hurt anybody, actually drives you to want to be better to your partner.
Well, that makes sense because guilt has two forms. Destructive, which is the guilt that you use against yourself, where you just beat yourself up and make yourself feel bad. And then the guilt that is really productive because it motivates you to want to do better. And so are you saying that if, let's say, I'm trying to think of an example.
I can give you an example that the study researchers found very common.
Okay.
What they found common is usually both partners do the same secret behavior and they hide it from the other. And a very common one is around diet.
Okay.
Like both partners are vegetarians when they're together and they secretly eat meat, not together.
What?
They said this little secret might propel both partners to try to show up in a bigger way because they feel bad about this when they're both doing it most of the time. Watching a show ahead, Chris might be doing the same thing. It's very common that both people do this and kind of propels you guys to show up and invest more. And maybe it's not the worst thing in the world.
Wow. Okay, so what's the takeaway? Don't feel guilty?
The first takeaway is if you, like 90% of people, have made an impulsive online purchase that your partner doesn't know about, or you snuck a piece of cake, or you're watching ahead on the TV show, first off, don't beat yourself up about it because the research shows they are probably doing it too. Like your partner's probably doing this.
That is killer.
Yeah.
Like, so don't feel bad about that Amazon box showing up and you quickly sneaking it into the back of your closet so that nobody knows that you, yet again, ordered another pair of pants.
Yes. And this is not about betrayal. This is not about a shopping addiction. This is about, they're calling it mundane things, things that do not affect your partner. It does not affect your partner that you went and had the extra piece of cake or that you went and ordered another t-shirt for yourself.
Or ate the gluten amazing bread at the dinner with your friends, but came home and ate the cardboard bread that was there.
Yeah. And I think also, as we go into the new year, a lot of people might do challenges with others. I know you've talked about taking on a big fitness challenge with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And there might be times when you slip up and don't want to say, and that is okay, is what the researchers are saying. As long as it doesn't hurt anyone, it could be okay.
It sounds like it's more than okay. It sounds like it amplifies you wanting to show up. This is so cool.
Yeah.
So far we've covered 7 things. How important it is to add random acts of kindness, even just smiling at people, complimenting their nails, telling people that you appreciate them. Here's another one.
Yeah.
If I ever see somebody cleaning a public bathroom, I always stop and look in the eye and say, thank you so much for taking care of us.
That's great.
And most people are floored.
Yeah.
I love passive exercise.
Sit down slowly in that chair once per day.
Everybody, we can
per day.
Literally, I'm doing it now. It's a squat. That's what it is. You are going to get an inch above the chair and hold it for 3 seconds.
Yes.
That's a legit squat is what I'm doing because my quads are fully engaged. Okay.
Sit on down.
Just sat down because now you can hear my voice shift because I'm not efforting anymore.
That is backed by researchers from Australia, Japan, and Brazil. Just sit down slowly in your chair once a day.
Yeah, don't lift the weights, everybody. Slowly lower them and you will be ripped. Birds are something we're going to add in. Who knew? I love this.
Listen to a bird sound for up to 8 hours of just a better day.
Well, you're not saying listen to birds for 8 hours.
No.
You're saying if you just listen to birds chirping for a second or 2.
Yeah. 8 hours of benefits.
What? Okay.
And then the 4th one is the mindfulness practice. That study out of Georgetown around bringing in some mindfulness into your day, like a gratitude journal, can cause as much reduction in anxiety as taking an antidepressant.
And we just did this episode right before this one?
Yeah, last week.
Oh, on Monday.
Last Monday.
Oh, a week ago.
Yeah.
We did this episode about doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, I recommended that we set an alarm in our smartphones for 2:13 with a little note that says, stop, take a breath, do nothing. I even had a little song that I play when it happens. And that's an act of mindfulness. And one other thing that comes to mind, I know in Tim Ferriss's big book, Tools of Titans, he crunched the data on 250 interviews that he had done with like billionaires and world changers. And every single one of them had one habit that they all shared, right?
Yeah.
And it was a mindfulness practice.
Yeah.
So I know you know this, but when you start to understand how compelling the research is, not only about how it changes the neural pathways in your brain, makes you a more positive and calm person, but to also know that in research studies, it has the same effect of dropping anxiety by 30% as prescription medication. That's worth paying attention to.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And then our study number 5 was do not rely on willpower for success, for accomplishment, and for getting important work done. Go on Do Not Disturb. Help someone have you stay accountable. Go into a quiet room, just like those students who succeeded on the SATs did.
Awesome. Schedule in success. Don't just muscle through it.
Yeah.
What else we got? Oh, smell. I like this one.
Yeah.
Think about putting more positive smell associations into your life, whether it's bringing positive memories to mind or it is creating positive experiences by getting intentional about the smell. I love this.
Yeah, definitely. And then we had our one sneaky TV show watching, sneaky meat eating.
So just giggle about it. Stop making yourself feel bad.
Stop making yourself bad because everyone else is doing it too.
And there's one final change.
Yeah. So this piece of research is something that researchers actually show is the easiest habit to make the largest impact in your life.
And what is it? You can tell them what it is.
It's being kind to yourself.
This is so profound that I want to dedicate the next episode to just the research on how to be kinder to yourself, because this recent study I know, and the irony is, of all the things that you could change in the coming year, the research is conclusive that learning how to be kind to yourself as a daily practice has the single biggest impact on your happiness, on your meaning, on your sense of purpose. And the sad thing is, it is the one we practice the least.
Yeah.
And this is so important that the very next episode that we drop in the Mel Robbins podcast is going to go deep on the topic of being kinder to yourself, how to make it a habit, why it matters. And we are also going to do a bonus episode with it where we're going to take people's questions about it. Because yes, let's squat down on the chair. Let's listen to the birds. Let's structure our study time. Let's get the smells going, people. Let's be mindful. Let's, what were the other one? What was the first one we did? See, I've already forgotten.
The first one we did is around the random act of kindness.
Amped up the kindness. Let's go. And kindness towards self is the biggest thing you should do, which is why we're going to talk about it in the next episode. I want to play another question that was submitted from a woman named Megan so that I can start to show you that you're not the only one whose self-doubt is the problem.
My name is Megan, and I'm from Tampa, Florida. Long story short, I've always wanted to move out of my hometown. And ever since I graduated college, I've tried to find an excuse to move. I'm in my third job in my career, love it. But I'm just like, I'd never pursued that moving out of my hometown. And there's always been this itch. And I'm 32, I'm single, I have no kids, and I'm like, my lease is about to end. So I'm like, is now the time? But all those fears just keep popping in, which are a lot of, limiting beliefs that I have. So my parents always kind of told me, you need money to move. If you don't have a bunch of money saved, then you shouldn't be going anywhere. They never moved out of Tampa. So they were like, your family's here. Why would you want to leave your family? And kind of like guilt tripped me a little bit. So I kind of shut down the conversation, and I basically just don't know what to do. And I feel stuck, but I feel like I need to do it, but I don't have a reason to other than I want to. So how do I get past feeling stuck and too afraid? And I feel like I'm just always looking for excuses of why I shouldn't. My biggest fear is just getting there and then being like, why did I do this? I'm alone. I have no family or friends here. Who knows when my family or friends are going to visit me, even if they will. Is this going to cost me a lot of money? And now I put myself in like a bad financial situation. What if I lose my job and I'm in a new city? What if I hate it? So Mel, how do I get started? What is the first step I should take? And what is the right way of going about doing this?
Oh my God. First of all, can we just agree? We love Megan. Don't you just love how honest she is? How she's just laying it all out there. And you know what else I love about her? She is every single one of us. Because once you lock on to something that you, quote, have an itch. And by the way, that's the only reason you need. If you want to do something, if you have a desire to do it, if you have that itch, that pull, that's your reason. You don't need any other justification other than you get to want things. You get to try things. And so I just love her because in sharing so much about how she's struggling internally, and you can hear that, can't you? You can hear how much she wants to do this. And yet, there is that conflict inside of her. And so I want to unpack this layer by layer for you, because here's the thing. It's very easy for me on the outside to put my hands on my hip and to look at Megan with a big smile and say, honey, you are not getting any older. Get your ass out of Tampa and move. What if it all works out? Stop worrying about it. And by the way, Tampa's waiting for you in case you hate it. So you can reverse the decision. But you got to start taking some risks. Like, I could tell her this all day long, but what really moves the needle in your life is when you can coach yourself.
when you can shut down the conversation inside your own mind. Because the only thing that is holding Megan back from pursuing something she's been thinking about for years is the conversation she's having with herself. And so how do you shut down the conversation? The answer, believe it or not, is manifesting. Wait, what? Mel? Hold on a second. Mel Robbins, did you just say all I have to do is manifest? If I think about moving, magically it'll happen? No, that's not what I said. You see, you don't understand what manifesting is. Nobody does. I didn't for decades. Manifesting is not just imagining something or wishing or wanting something to happen. That's what Megan's been doing. She's been thinking about it. She's been wishing it would happen. She's been wanting it to happen. Has that made her move? No. That's not manifesting, everybody. Manifesting is intentionally training your brain and your nervous system to believe in something that hasn't happened yet. That's what manifesting is. Manifesting is a power tool. It's backed by neuroscience. It is backed by years of research. And when used properly, it helps you achieve your goals because it helps you prepare to do the work. I use science-backed manifesting tools every single day to shut down the negative conversations in my life and to live a big life and to take big risks. And dude, Olympic athletes use manifesting. And we're going to get into how Olympic athletes and the world's leading, business leaders and successful people everywhere use it. But I'm telling you right now, the way you shut down your internal conversation that is holding you back is manifesting. And I'm not only going to give you the definition of what manifesting is and what it isn't, but I'm going to walk you through 4 steps backed by neuroscience on how you're going to use manifesting properly as a brain reprogramming tool. That's what we're going to do here today. And I'm also, as I walk you through these steps, you're going to learn the 4 mistakes that absolutely everybody makes when it comes to the how and when it comes to trying to manifest. Jessica, I'm sure, is making this mistake. Megan makes this mistake. I've been making this mistake for years until I understood the science. And so, as I do this, I want to turn the spotlight on you for a second because I'm going to continue talking about Megan. And I'm going to learn a lot about manifesting and how to use science to rewire your mind. But what is something that you feel the itch to do, that you've been thinking about, that you're the one shutting down? Here's a way that you could really get honest with yourself. Let's just say that Mel Robbins was going to take a sabbatical from hosting the Mel Robbins podcast. And let's say I was going to move into your house. And you and I were going to be surgically joined at the hip for a year. And you were going to have to deal with me being by your side and in your ear day by day. I'd be there as you woke up. I'd be there as you go to sleep. I can sense that itch because I'm connected to your hip. What is it knowing that I would be in your life, annoying as hell, pushing you through your fears? What would you take on that you're not taking on right now? What dream would you pursue? If I'm your big O-line, your offensive lineman in football, I'm the one that's going to block and tackle for you. I'm the one that's going to clear the path. I'll handle your frickin' parents. I'm going to find the apartment. I'll push you out of your comfort zone. We got this because I'm going to be by your side. What is that thing, that itch, that dream? Because I want you to be selfish as you listen to this. And so hold on to that as I describe how manifesting is one of the first things you have to learn how to do to get started on making this a reality. So what is manifesting? Manifesting is mentally training for getting what you want. That's all that it is. It is part of the toolkit that successful people around the world use. Let me tell you what manifesting is not. Manifesting is not thinking thoughts and then hoping they come true. That is what people do on their 7th birthday. And they blow out the candles. That is not what we are doing here. Manifesting is based in neuroscience. It is a tool that you are going to use precisely, intentionally, systematically, with purpose, because you use manifesting to rewire your mind and your body and your spirit to help you do the work to achieve your dreams. When you use manifesting properly, you are removing the mental obstacles of self-doubt, resistance, fear, perfectionism, feeling overwhelmed, other people's expectations, all that stuff that is holding you in place right now, that makes you spin in circles. Manifesting clears that shit out, and it programs, using science, a completely different way of thinking and feeling about the things that you want to create in your life. And when you manifest properly, it's almost like the pregame training that you do before the big game. It prepares you to take action. It boosts your confidence. It gets you ready to do that thing. So you and I are going to walk step by step through how to do this, but I just want you, for this moment, I want you to embrace the definition that this is not wishing. This is not the law of attraction. This is based in science and neuroscience. This is about reprogramming your mind instead of letting your fears run your life. I know what you're thinking. Okay, Mel, what the hell does that mean? Don't you worry. We're going to go step by step through this, and I'm going to keep on teeing up the mistakes that you're making, because everybody makes the same mistakes. I made the same mistakes too. And I'm going to show you the 4 things you need to do instead so you can leverage the science to create the life that you want. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.